Shalom. I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh Bashem Shai. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone because that's where I learned this truth from through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Shai. Yahweh is the true name of the God of Israel. Yahweh Shai is who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, but his one and only true name is Yahweh Shai. And pretty much, a brother that's in the camp, he posted an article in the group chat about what's going on with the stock market. And the stock market is down 700 points. Now, you notice with the stock market over the years, it's been going up, it's been going down. But when it goes down, it goes way down to the point where these different companies, they can't, recover from that. And that's why you're starting to see a lot of store closures. There's estimated that there's going to be 12,000 store closures for this year. So the unemployment rate is definitely going to go up. But in the media, what do you see? Oh, this month we got over 100,000 plus jobs and the economy's doing fine. But that's not true. So last time this happened, during World War One in particular, you had trade wars going on. You had a Great Depression, and then you had World War One. The same thing is going to happen right now. And this is the same similar instance on why we know, according to the Bible, that Rome came back as America and the European Union, all right, through something called the Treaty of Rome, according to Revelation 13:3. So when you look at how Rome fell, I'm just going to hit some quick points real quick. I'm not going to drag this out, but this is just some reasons why right here, Rome fell. All right, they had economic troubles and over-reliance on slave labor. It says over-expansion and military overspending. Then it says government corruption and political instability, right? And then when you go down here, it says people also ask, how did the Roman Empire fall economically? It says Rome fell through a gradual process because poor economic policies led to a weakened military, which allowed the barbarians easy access to the empire. And then it goes into it. It says in the 3rd century, Rome's emperors embraced harmful economic policies, which led to Rome's decline. First, the limitation of gold and silver resources led to inflation. And that's what's going to happen here in America, hyperinflation. So the same similar way how Rome fell, the same similar way how America is going to fall, and worldwide, because who was the people that was ruling in Rome predominantly that started the Roman Empire? The Edomites, all right? The people you called, the Zionist regime, European, redneck, that was their empire. You had some Israelites, which the biblical Israelites, God's true chosen people, is the seed line of the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. You had some Caesars that were Jakes. When I say Jakes, I'm talking about, Israelites, so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Indian. But for the most part, Rome was started by Edomites, all right, the so-called white race, all right? So that was their empire. So those same people are ruling right now. The different Caesars, which today, we got the different presidents. There's a lot of comparisons to, Greece, Rome, and America. So this is the article that he posted, and this is a good article, published August 14, 2019. Dow dips 700 plus points amid signs of recession. All right. And pretty much they like to compare Donald Trump to this guy called Herbert Hoover, which Herbert Hoover, he started trade wars, if I'm not mistaken, during the 1920s and 1930s, during the time of the Great Depression and the World Wars, he was having a lot of trade wars. All right, and anytime you have a trade war, there's a war coming after. That's the same thing that's going on right now. So really, they're saying that they want this recession to happen so that Donald Trump could get in office again. And I'm going to show you real quick. So I'm going to read this. It says, stock fell and demands for bonds rose as the markets interpreted treasuries rates as a signal preceding a recession. Dow Jones has lost over 700 points, with other stock indexes plunging as well. U.S. stocks dropped between 2 and 3% across the board by early Wednesday afternoon. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, DJIA, was down 666 points, which, come on, we know that's the number of the beast. That's their number, 18666. It says the NASDAQ down over 230 points, and the S&P 500 dropping 74.28 points. It says the slide was attributed to the inverted gap in rates for short and long-term U.S. Treasury bonds, which was taken as a warning that normally precedes a recession. Goldman Sachs Group led the rout of financial stocks, falling by 4%. So here's a picture. This is what CNBC tweeted. You see everything is in red, man. This is not looking good for this country. You people like to say this is the greatest country in the world. They're the number one superpower, but they're not looking so super. And these countries, they acknowledge that. That's why they're building their thermonuclear missiles. That's why they're bold enough to even engage in a trade war with America and to dump the U.S. dollar. These countries are not afraid of America no more. So it's not much of this article left. It says the inverted yield curve refers to short-term bond rates, right? It doesn't have a picture of it, but keep going. It says refers to short-term bond rates being higher than long-term ones, which is taken as a sign of investor concern about the economy. And a lot of investors, what are they doing? They're not really dealing with the stock market like that. And a lot of the elites that was living over here, they moving out to Europe and different countries because they know what's getting ready to happen with America. It says which is taken as a sign of investor concern about the economy. The different investors, William Buffett, so on and so forth, million and billionaires. The top stockbrokers, people that own these different companies, well-known companies. It says yields on 10-year Treasury bonds have just slipped below the yields for 2-year bonds for the first time since the 2007 run-up to the Great Recession. U.S. President Donald Trump described the situation as tremendous amounts of money pouring into the United States, adding that people want safety. He also criticized the Federal Reserve for acting far too quickly, and now it is very, very late. Because what did the Federal Reserve do? Dealing with the interest rates. Do your research on that. So this is a tweet from Donald Trump. It says the Fed has got to do something. The Fed is the central bank of the United States, not the central bank of the world. It says the Federal Reserve acted far too quickly, and now is very, very late. Too bad, so much to gain on the upside. Now, here's the point I was getting at. It says Trump's critics have wished for a recession in order to scuttle his 2020 re-election bid. And the hashtag Trump recession has already begun trending on social media. And this is from this guy. He looks, either Chinese or Filipino. He says a recession has closely followed a yield curve inversion 9 out of 10 times since 1955. And this is what I was talking about right here. This is the yield curve right here. All right. So that happened 9 out of 10 times since 1955. And it's happening right now. What do you think is going to happen to this country? You're going to go through a global economic collapse. All you people, you're going to lose your 401k. Any type of money you have invested in the stock market, you're going to lose it all. All your benefits that you might get from your job, you're going to lose that. Not to mention, your jobs that which y'all work for, you're going to lose it. It's going to close down. All right. You're going to see an increased rate in the unemployment. And this is going to lead to civil unrest. Look out for more government shutdowns and really a permanent shutdown, because that's what a global economic collapse is. And this is going to be global. All right. Look for the prices in oil per barrel to go sky high. Just look out for these things, and look for World War III that happens shortly After the civil unrest increases, when people lose their jobs, then they're going to have to enforce martial law. Then they're going to try and enforce the RFID chip implant on everybody worldwide, which is the mark of the beast according to the Bible, because that's going to be the new currency, because the U.S. dollar is going to collapse. So all these different things, the trade wars and tensions, is going to lead to war. Ultimately, it's going to lead to America being destroyed, as prophesied in the Bible in Revelation chapter 18, which America is known as Babylon the Great in the Bible, if you can receive it. So this is 2 Ezra chapter 6, verse 9. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." So all these different things you're hearing about, a yield curve, and the Dow dropping down, and the stock market crashing, and a recession coming, the Great Depression coming, the trade wars, the tensions of war. All these different things you're seeing is signaling the end of the world, but the scriptures is specific. It says, "For Esau is the end of the world." And who is Esau? Who is his descendants? Because the scriptures tell you what? That Esau was changed to Edom. Who's the biblical Edomites today in the flesh walking around? The so-called white race and their seed line. All right? The seed line of the so-called white race, whether you want to call them the Zionist regime, redneck, European, Aryan race. They like to call themselves the Aryan race, the quote-unquote master race. These people, all right? The people that were slave masters during slavery, whatever you want to call them, Jewish or Ashkenazi Jew, it's these people. So the Bible is saying that they're the end of the world, meaning the end of an age. This is the end of their rulership. They're losing world dominance. They're losing power. They're going to permanently lose power. It says, "And Jacob is the beginning of it that followeth." Who are the true descendants of Jacob? Not these people. All right? The true descendants of Jacob is the so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. All right? We make up the 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And I stress seed line because you are what your father is. All right? So the fact that their empire is going down, ours is coming up. Because Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly called Jesus Christ, he's coming to establish the kingdom of heaven. That's the Jacob. That's what it's talking about, the beginning of it that followeth. What follows after the downfall of the Edomites' empire, which is the European Union and America, the kingdom of heaven. All right, and this is what we're waiting on, the elect of the nation of Israel. This is Zephaniah chapter 1, verse 10. It says, "And it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord, that there shall be the noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hills." Verse 11. And the great crashing, let's talk about what? The stock market crash. All right? Because you could use this to refer to the stock market crash. And that's what's going to happen. There's going to be a great crashing. The greatest country on earth that you people thought was the greatest country on earth is going to tumble down. That's why they call it the American dream. Dreams don't last forever. Verse 11, "Howl, ye inhabitants of Mektesh," which, Mektesh was a city where there was a lot of trading done. It says, "Howl, ye inhabitants of Mektesh, for all the merchant people are cut down. All they that bear silver are cut off." Because gold, silver, you got people that are saying, "Oh, well, the dollar is going to collapse. Let's invest in gold and silver." That's not going to be the next currency. All right. Along with cryptocurrency. That's not going to be the next currency. All right. Verse, I'm going to skip down. Verse 14. It says, "The great day of the Lord is near. It is near and hasteth greatly, even the voice of the day of the Lord. The mighty men shall cry there bitterly." And that's what's going to happen. People are crying. They're not going to believe it. When this global economic collapse happens, when the stock market finally crashes, when the U.S. dollar is finally, worthless, people are not going to know what to do. You got people that come from other countries and they want to live it up here and trying to earn life here. Life is going to be dead here. It's going to lead to civil unrest, cannibalism, martial law, FEMA camps, and the mark of the beast, which is the RFID chip implant. And then shortly after that, nuclear missiles, followed by an alien invasion, which is just the second coming of the Lord. Verse 15, That day is a day of wrath, a day of trouble and distress, a day of wasteness and desolation, a day of darkness and gloominess, a day of clouds and thick darkness. Verse 16, a day of the trumpet and alarm against the fenced cities and against the high towers. That's what's going to happen. Verse 17, I will bring distress upon men, that they shall walk like blind men. Because people are going to wonder, how the hell did it get like this? People's going to have questions, but it's going to be too late. Why? It's going to be a famine of the word. Amos chapter 8, verses 11 through 12. Because they have sinned against the Lord, and their blood shall be poured out as dust, and their flesh as the dung. Dung is shit. Verse 18, neither their silver nor their gold shall be able to deliver them in the day of the Lord's wrath. But the whole land shall be devoured by the fire of my jealousy. Referring to Babylon the Great. This is what's going to happen. For he shall make even a speedy riddance of all them that dwell in the land. That's exactly what's getting ready to happen. And y'all going to know that the God of Israel did this. Y'all going to fear the God of Israel, Yahweh, and his son Yahweh Shai. Two separate entities. Revelation 18 and 10, standing afar off for the fear for torment, saying, alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that mighty city, for 1 hour is thy judgment come. That's what's going to happen. The Lord is going to judge this place. 1 hour, this whole place is going to be destroyed by Russia and its allies and other nations. I'm going to end it with this. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 7. Babylon have been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. And how has Babylon made the whole earth drunken? Through its philosophies of vain deceit. Westernizing everybody. Going around westernizing the world. Spreading their policies and their out-of-order ways to these other nations, to the point where you see homosexuality amongst these other nations. The other nations is leaving their culture and their morals to be wicked. The nations have drunken of our wine, therefore the nations are mad. That's what you see. Verse 8, Babylon is suddenly fallen, destroyed. How for her take balm for her pain, if so she may be healed. We would have healed Babylon, but she is not healed. So the Lord doesn't want this place to heal. There's no policy or law that they could come up with, or no president that could come in office and save this place. Forsake her mentally, referring to you Israelites, because you're the ones who the Lord died for. When you read Acts 5 and 31, the Lord died to give repentance and forgiveness of sins only for his people. So only the Israelites can repent. But let us go everyone to his own country. And that's what these people are going to do after a while. These Arabs, these indigenous Africans, East Indians, all these people you see that come from the other nations, they're going to go back to their country. For her judgment reacheth unto heaven and is lifted up even to the sky. So the God of Israel is displeased with this place. And what you're seeing is the downfall of this empire. Shalom.